Okay, so we've got two designs right now, and we want to put those onto a single image, right? We want these to be on the same file so we can turn in one single JPEG like all the assignments require. So what do we do? Well, first of all, I know these are the same size because I made them the same size. When I cropped them, I put a frame over the top that was exactly the same size and cropped them. Now, there are slightly different sized images, though. If you notice, though, because we've got all this extra stuff outside the image, we're going to have to deal with that a little bit later coming out of Illustrator, but it's easy enough to work with for right now. First thing that you want to do is probably put them onto a new document. So I'm going to just open up a document. Mine are at 800 by 600, which is totally fine. And there it is. So I'm going to come back to my first one. I'm going to select the design and then copy and paste. Now, I don't ever come up to this menu. It takes way too much time. So if you're on a PC, you want to use Control-C and Control-V to copy and paste. If you're on a Mac, it's just the Apple key, or whatever this thing is, the Apple key, Control-V, Control-C. So select it, Control-C, come over to my design here, and paste it. Now I'm going to go to my second design here, Control-C, Control-V, oops, right? That's at least tells me that I copied it, right? And there we go. Now, I've got these two designs, and I want to line them up. You can come up to Windows, the Window menu, and go to your Align option there. And the Align menu should come up, and it'll look like this guy right here. Let's get rid of that. Align. Right. Okay, I guess you're not going to get rid of me there. So the Align menu is right there. And what this does is it helps you take multiple shapes and line them up. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my two shapes, selecting both of them, and then I'm going to hit this fifth key in, and that's Vertical Align Center. And what that does, as you might guess, is it aligns them vertically, and it centers them together. So there we go. So now that looks pretty good. I'm going to now grab both of them and shrink them down so that they fit on that page. I'm going to kind of set it up there, and that's going to look pretty nice. So what we got to do now is actually, let's flip these around, and I'll show you why I'm doing this in a second. It would actually work really nicely if if it was done that way. But what we want to do now is label them. I always like to do a left label here. I'll put my name in there. Here, let's zoom in. Here, we'll just do it. And then this is week something, assignment, something, and then the date. Date's optional, but I always like sticking it in there if I'm presenting things to a client or whatever. So there we go. So that's what we've got now with our design. So now we need to export this. First thing I like to do, and this is just sort of my own way of doing it. Not everybody does it this way, but I like coming in and I like giving myself a lined up frame like so. And you see here that feels pretty good. Centered gives me good margins, but now it looks like that. So what I'm going to do is make sure I have a white rectangle, and then I'm going to come up to Object, Arrange, Send to Back. And what that does is it puts that rectangle behind my my designs, and you can see sort of where it's at there. And it gives me just sort of a mark of where it's going to go. It also helps it export better. So then at this point we can come up to File, Export. Week X, assignment X, and then we want to make sure that's a JPEG. And I'm going to send it to my desktop and export. Okay, I've already done this once, so let's replace. And then all my settings look good, and there we go. Okay, so now what I've done is I've opened it up in Photoshop, and here we are. Now, remember how this design got cropped and it had all this extra stuff there? Well, when you export out of Illustrator, it wants to get, even though it's hidden, it's going to give you that stuff. So that's why I put this on this side, is just to show you how we can do this. If you do open your design, your JPEG, and you find that it is, I don't know, imbalanced, it looks weird like this, then you can simply come in Photoshop and use the crop tool. Pretty much any image viewer has a crop tool of some kind. So what I'm going to do is just grab that crop tool right here, drag it out over my design, and I'm going to get that little bullseye right in the center, sort of as centered as I can get it. That's pretty close. And then I want to make sure that top margin looks about the same too. There we go. And then the bottom, I don't know, we can keep the bottom about where it's at. That looks pretty good to me. Yeah, that's pretty good. And then at that point, I just hit return or enter, and there you go. Now, I would at this point save it. I'm going to look at the image size real quick. So you'll notice that it's a pretty good size image, 11 wide. You don't even need to look at that. Just look at the top. That's about 800 wide, and that's all I really care about. So that looks good. Now at this point, you can just hit save and turn that into class. That would be good.